Hey guys, I'm Andrew McCorman. Welcome to Web3 TV. In today's video, I'm with Nifemi Aluko, the founder of Toffy's Domes, an NFT project based on the award-winning science fiction novel Toffy's Divide. And we're going to discuss all things NFTs and how to build value into them. But before we do, make sure you register to watch every episode of Web3 TV here, where we share inspiring stories of all things Web3, making a difference to the world. All sorted? Okay, let's go. Nifemi, you've recently minted an NFT collection at Toffy's Domes. Can you just explain for the viewers before we get into what are NFTs, what is Toffy's Domes and what's the collection, and obviously what was its inspiration?
Definitely. So Toffy's Domes is a NFT project based on my sci-fi novel, Toffy's Divide, in which the novel, the main character, Toffy, pushes through self-doubts and societal construct to write about a story that liberates himself and begins to mend his divided city. Our goal is to use our tokens to empower our collectors to liberate themselves through community and storytelling. Toffy's Domes is a collection of 405 unique tokens, which match the 405 pages within the book. And it gives you access to my book, also gives you access to my next book coming in 2023, and also gives you access to Storytellers Lounge, which is a community that allows us to tell our stories and live more purposeful lives.
Wow, great summation, mate. So to me, it sounds, well, I guess the question is, what is an NFT for starters? But you've already sort of articulated that it seems a lot more than what people think it is. So what is it? And then tell us more about how you can build value to NFTs.
Yeah. So NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are digital collectibles that act as a store of value. That's how easy I can, explain it. That value could be a sense of digital identity. It could be being connected to a community of like-minded people. It could be access to exclusive experiences. And it could also be a sense of, I'm trying to gain financially and get some reward. I tried a few months ago, I bought an NFT for my nephew that is about 6 years old. And I pushed myself to try to explain what an NFT was or is to him. And, after explaining for a few minutes, my niece, who was 2 years older, was like, just show us the toy already, right? So it could be a toy. It could be a toy to, to people, and toys do bring value. I think what it is for me is this signal that you own something that shows your identity, right? So, when people ask me, why should I get an NFT? I'm like, why do you have art in your house? Why do you have a painting in your house? It's that it is a form of self-expression. And I think the biggest value is the token provides a way to easily authenticate provenance, where you can always go back and say, this was the original. I can trace this thing to the original place it came from. And that original place could be directly from the artist. It could be directly from an entrepreneur. It could be directly from someone that you're just trying to support. I think that's the biggest, use case. And then in terms of value, over, the last 20, close to 20 years, with the rise of, digital sharing, I can tell you an example of when I first just moved to the US in 2003. That was the era of LimeWire and Kazaa and all that kind of stuff, where you could literally download your favorite music from just because you're connected to the internet. And we then went down this era of just digital assets and just excess. You can just keep replicating. I think the biggest value for the NFTs is yes, we still have digital assets, but now the owner or the person that creates these digital assets can now bake in some scarcity and say, we're only providing X number of tokens. And now that person can then continue to add value to this limited supply of tokens. So when I tie that back to Toffy's Divide and Toffy's Domes, we created a collection that is very unique because 405 is actually the number of pages in the book. So as we continue to build the project, the more value we bring to our community, the more value that we bring where this token acts as the access point to be able to capture that value. I believe we will be adding more, value to the token itself. And it can be replicated. People can't, find our token and replicate it because you could go look at the wallet and figure out whether it's from, it was minted from my wallet. So I think that's those are the big things in terms of the space of origin where it comes from, and then being able to, have this digital asset, but a scarce value or a scarce amount of digital assets that is controlled by the person that created the collection.
Yeah, so that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you own an actual digital certificate, I guess, of ownership. That means it's only you that owns that specific piece, whatever that is, whether that's an event or an experience or a piece of art or music or whatever. But also from building value, like if you're looking at Toffy's Domes, you've got many ways of building an extra value, haven't you? So if you're a member or you're an NFT holder of one of those 405 NFTs, you then get access to many other benefits, don't you?
Yep. Yes. So all members of the community get access to my books, signed copies of my books. And, if I was going to project into the future, right, and believe that I'm going to be one of the most successful authors ever, right? Imagine, if you get exclusive access to signed copies of my book, you could probably resell that in 15 years, right? Saying, I got this because I was a Toffy's Domes owner. So I look at it like, if George Lucas decided like back then to just create 405 unique Star Wars, whatever it is, reels, right? And you just own that. And being able to say, I'm one of the first supporters of this project that has really impacted the entire world. That's how I look at what I'm doing. A big part of my publishing process in Web 2 was crowdfunded. And so when I look at juxtapose that to what's happening in Web 3, NFTs are also a way to crowdfund my process, right? So that I can write my next book. But also, you're not only just crowdfunding where a company like Indiegogo is the owner of the relationship, you're now coming directly to me. And now you can now show the certificate and say, I was there from day one, supporting this artist. And, I'm using that as an example for myself, but that's also why I support a bunch of projects, because I want to see the artists be more empowered, more independent, and also want to be part of their journey as they're going along. So those are some of the little, values that tokens that can be authenticated provide.
So if you look at Toffy's Domes and you look at other businesses or even creators, artists, musicians, etc., what are other ways they could build value into their NFT? And I guess let's do this in a storytelling sense. Let's just let your subconscious mind run wild here. If you're just doing an ideation or a brain dump, what could be some, let's call it for a musician, what could they do to raise value for their NFT?
Yeah, different things. They could release exclusive music, right, to their community. They could drop merch in terms of, clothes, in terms of vinyls that is exclusive to their community. They could show a behind the scene process of how they make their music that is exclusive to their community. They could, what else? They could ask the community to collaborate with them on choosing the next person that's going to be on their album. They could do a contest where one person from the community who might be an aspiring musician also could be featured on their next song. I follow a musician where after, we got her NFT, she sent a mixtape, like an actual tape to each person that bought the NFT and a crew neck t-shirt. Also, there are also a lot of these, like say, phygital products in terms of physical plus digital. So one of the crew necks, you can literally tap your phone on the crew neck to get new music from the artist. Just throwing different things out there. They could, you could do a one-on-one. You could do a one-on-one with one of your truest fans and, have access to them and, will I say build more personal brand awareness and some true meaningful relationships with directly with your fans, with nobody in between, just because they own one token or they own a certain tier of tokens. So yeah, one-on-one discussions, group meetings, in-person meetings. A musician can decide and say, hey, yeah, the next time I'm in Sydney, everybody that is in Sydney that has my token can get access to this event that I'm hosting for this night. Show up, So I just think like once you have that and you can build a community around that, you can just keep giving access to unique experiences, because that is one thing I believe is not going to be commoditized, is the human experience, So the more we can do things around unique human experiences, the more value we can add.
Absolutely. It's like, and that's what I'm hearing. So the key word to me is value. We're trying to build value. So you're saying, well, what do people value in between their connection to each other? And if I'm a famous artist or a budding artist even, it's just a great way. NFTs are a great way to store value, but then obviously in that store of value is a description of all the forms of value that are allowing me to connect with that specific artist or musician or business or whatever. So, and literally, like I asked you to do an ideation and a brain dump, we could do it for hours, right? It's literally, you could create anything that as long as they value it, they're going to pay for it in return.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So I know we're jumping around a bit here, but I want to go back to a little bit more left brain stuff. They talk about minting when it comes to NFTs. What is minting?
Minting, I just think, is a process of creating the digital assets and putting it in your wallets, right? So I almost look at it like from a very physical perspective. It's like mining, right? That's where, you find a mine site and whatever you're trying to extract, you pull it out of the ground. Minting is you go to a smart contract and then whatever value you're trying to do, you grab it and put it in your wallet. So that's like the analogy I use from a, actual technical perspective. Minting is the process of getting your digital token into your wallet by you exchanging your cryptocurrency to get that token.
And from your perspective, like Toffy's Domes, when you created your collection of 405 NFTs, is that minting them, or is that just creating them? Then the person on the flip side mints them to put them into their wallet, or is it on both sides?
Yeah, I think for me, the way I looked at it was I've created a contract, and the mint happens when someone comes to actually buy it the first time, right? The primary buyer of that NFT. Now, when that person goes on and sells it again, I don't consider that the mint. I consider it the moment you actually get the token. So we can also look at it like the Federal Reserve or central bank. like a minting process. When you actually get the actual paper notes currency, that's the process of minting. But in this case, it's a digital asset, a token.
And what is reveal?
Yeah, so reveal is very interesting. It's not a lot of people do it. Not that not a lot of people do it. Not all projects have to do it, but a reveal is when your you have your collection, and you can actually set within the the smart contract to point to something that's kind of a placeholder, right? A placeholder image. And you mint, and that's everybody within the collection gets a placeholder image. And then whenever the contract writer is ready to reveal the unique token, they go in there and hit reveal, or type it up, and it then reveals each person's unique token. So when different projects have different ways. At my first NFT project that I collected, VFriends, there was no reveal. You saw directly like what you were getting. I got a tenacious termite. I was looking, there are all these different like traits and everything. You could go ahead and choose which you want. For my project, we did a review because I find the review is easier in terms of you don't have to have a marketplace that shows all the different traits, all the different tokens. You don't burden the person that purchases with all the decision making in terms of which one do I want. You just have mint one, you get a placeholder, and there's almost like a part of the review is almost like, oh, let me see what I got. That's what I find in other projects. And you click review and everybody gets what they get. I've seen projects recently after the review, some people are happy with what they got, some people not so happy. So they start, within Discord, they start doing some trading. I give you this if you give me that. So for us with Toffy's Domes, we still haven't actually revealed yet. We're going to be revealing in mid-February because we just hit our roadmap to reveal. And once we reveal, there are 7 cities as traits. And there are all these different traits in terms of what I mentioned before: self-awareness, curiosity, empathy, and digital narrative, and economic divide. So once we hit reveal, everybody then sees the unique token that they get in their wallet.
So is it for my understanding, you could either buy one NFT and you know what you're going to get, or you could buy in a collection. Can you choose, like for your one, you got 405 NFTs based on the 405 pages of the book. Can you choose the page you want, or is it revealed that everyone gets it at the same time and they may not know which page they get?
Yeah, so since we are, 405 pages, 405 tokens for 405 pages, the number of the page goes sequentially based on when you mint, right? So if I mint one now and I get number 1, if you mint right after me, you get number 2. If Peter mints after you, he gets number 3. So there's more of that sequential, number that comes with the mint. But the reveal, once we reveal, depending, you will get an artwork completely different from mine, completely different from Peter, and that is not as sequential. That is more, randomly generated. So the number is sequential based on when you mint. The artwork is more randomly generated.
That makes more sense. So, and we'll talk about that. And we're doing another interview, guys, around creating an NFT and then building a community around it. So we'll talk about that more in that interview. Rarity. Obviously, to me, it's quite self-explanatory, but in the terms of NFT, tell us about rarity.
Yeah, so rarity is more the unique traits within each token. For us, I believe we have 4 rarities, if I remember correctly. So there's the rarity in terms of 7 cities right? 7 different cities that are, important to my storytelling journey. There's a background color. That's another rarity. There's a frame color. That's a third rarity. And then there are the 2 rarities where one of them is more of the divide. So that's 3 different types: economic, digital, and narrative. And then the bridging elements, which we call self-awareness, curiosity, and empathy. So based on these 5 rarities, you can come up with so many different combinations, right? And those combinations is what allows us, from a mathematical perspective, allows us to create different unique tokens. When I did the calculation, I think with the amount of unique rarities that we have, I think it came up to like 560 something, right? And then from there, we could cut it back to 405 to match the number of pages in the book. And that's why every person will get a unique token, and it won't be one that is more, you'll never get 2 people that have exactly the same token. Now, there are different projects where they put weights on different type of rarity. So they can say, if you have a gold background, you are in a higher tier. If you have if you have music as empathy, then, maybe you can join a music community. So people then use their rarities as a way to kind of even make smaller groups or subgroups within the community. So, an example for us is we want to get to a place where, the storytelling, if you identify fully with what you get after the review, then you can, maybe you want to write about self-awareness. Maybe you want to write about empathy based on, the token you get being a prompt for your storytelling. So rarities are just more of a way to kind of create all these unique combinations for your collection.
Wow. As a creator myself, I just get even more excited, right? Because it's just another way of creating value, isn't it? And scarcity and feeling of belonging or not belonging within a community, like sub-communities. Just fantastic. Where do we store these NFTs and how do we do that? So someone buys one, what do they do with it after that?
Yeah, so, you buy one. First, to buy one, you need a digital wallet. You get the digital wallet I use is MetaMask. Just recently, I've gotten a more secure wallet by getting a hardware wallet, Ledger. So you store your digital assets on these wallets. So that digital asset could either be currency, cryptocurrency, or an NFT. So you use your cryptocurrency to go buy the NFT, either as for us on Toffy's domes, you buy it directly from our website, or you could go to a marketplace to actually go buy other tokens on the secondary market, and you store it within your wallet. So the token is stored in your wallet. Now, if we want to go into the back scenes of, where these things are stored, it's mainly the smart contract pointing to these tokens. That's what I understand from actually writing the smart contract myself. It's more of the smart contract has the metadata for each of these tokens, and it points directly to those tokens. So the fact that you have that token within your wallet and it's linked to the contract address that created the token, then it can link to the different, tokens, points to the different tokens and where they're actually stored on a decentralized server.
Interesting. And I guess that's, just hearing that, it sounds a little confusing for a newbie, right? And I guess that's why some Web3 developers, and we interviewed Kazi Hussain from Thread Wallet, which I'll put that link here as well. He's simplifying that process, right? To allow people to be able to buy NFTs, store their apps, etc., in a wallet with no problem. And it leads me to the other question, Nifemi, is like, it appears to me that NFTs, you can do things with NFTs that you can't do with traditional Web2 assets. Would that be true? And if so, how?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's something I've been thinking about for the past, 5 months. Is like, well, what value is here that, you can't get anywhere else? I think the biggest one is just easily authenticate the provenance of, the origin of where the digital asset is from. That's the first one. You can duplicate it and link it to another contract. That's number two. So you can, as a whoever creates this, you can maintain the scarcity of your intellectual property. And then, is more not needing a centralized intermediary, for me and you to interact. I think that's the biggest thing. So, a lot of the Web2 applications, there's a big company in between that. When I think of when I was explaining NFTs to a friend and all the things they can get, and they came back and said, "Oh, that sounds like my American Express card. I can get access to things because I have this American Express card." And I sat back, I was like, "Oh, that's very true." And I thought about it for a long time, and I was like, "Yeah, but American Express is a company that can decide to give you a new credit card or not." So you understand what I'm saying? Or you can lose that credit card, or you can lose your credit history, or deplete your credit history. So NFTs act as a token that gives you access to things, right? And that token was created by the person that is creating the community, as opposed to, this giant in between that is saying, "I'm going to give you this token for you to go get access to this thing." So I think a big part of the space is the disintermediation of a centralized entity that stands between the creator and the people that want to connect with what the creator has put together, which is the community and the experiences around that.
Absolutely. And ultimately, the digital assets versus Web3 assets, it's more about sole ownership, isn't it? And
yeah,
as you say, no centralized intermediary who's got their hands all over it and can pull it at any moment. Nifemi, I really appreciate your time, mate. It's a really interesting take on NFTs. It's a great way how we've combined a bit of storytelling and with your explanation with Toffy's domes and how you've done it. It's just a great way to showcase to our audience in a better way, I guess, and a more creative way to be able to stimulate what they can do with NFTs. Guys, if you've got any questions for Nifemi, honestly, put them in the comments below. If you got any ideas, or you want to put something by him or whatever, or you just want to join his community at toffysdomes, absolutely go for it. Toffy's already put, I always call him Toffy's because that's the pseudonym. Nifemi's already mentioned he's happy to support, because obviously he's trying to build that community as well of like-minded people. So yeah, by all means, put your comments below or questions. And the other thing, guys, is a bit of a bonus, is we've put together another interview, which is about creating an NFT and building a community around it, which is what Nifemi's famous for with Toffy's Domes and Toffy's Divide the book. So we're going to put the link to that interview here. And Nifemi, we'll see you in that interview. Thanks very much for being on this call today.
Thank you, Andrew.
Well, there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Web3 TV episode. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. And remember, if you'd like to watch every episode of Web3 TV, visit the link below or subscribe to our channel. And remember to hit the bell icon so that we can notify you every time a new episode is released. I'm Andrew McComb, and I look forward to sharing more inspiring Web3 TV episodes making a difference to the world. I'll see you soon.